also being beaten also badly in there, and that is exactly what we must condemn. But we hope at the right time the law will take its course, as police is already investigating the circumstances that could have also led to this incident and who exactly the perpetrators are, and that is exactly what we are keenly following upon, and that is the report from police. At the right time, we shall be coming back to also let you know of exactly what could have happened, but that is exactly what we must condemn, because murder, or what we call mob action, because there's nothing really that like mob justice. This is entirely mob action, which we must also condemn in the strongest terms. But this also goes back to kind of also how we purchase the land. It also goes back, it speaks volumes, because at least I know of how sometimes already this happens. Way back, I was in Madiokolo district. This is Rhino Camp, where we also had some challenge. But exactly what happened is that the community members were able to address this matter in a civilized way, because many times we have these people who are in the community members, who are the community members who are within the communities, who also sell this land, not knowing that this land does not belong to them. That is why it is always important for us to also make sure that before we buy the land, let's find out the real owners. Because if at all this happens, then this is very wrong. But according to information we got on ground in relation to the murder of the acting DHR district, it was actually said that this man, together with his lawyer and the surveyors, had gone to purchase the piece of land that he bought recently, but the communities were against this move. Something which resulted into what we did see happening. But this is exactly what we must also condemn, and I believe the police will also make sure these people who are involved in this regrettable incidents are brought to book, because at the end of the day, they have really committed an atrocity, and what they did is actually criminal in nature, and therefore we must condemn it. But that is something which will see happening on Saturday, where a rural district's acting DHO, that is Paul Bishop Deleba, was killed also in the afternoon over an alleged land dispute, and this is something which we must also really condemn in the strongest terms in there. But really, preliminary reports also indicate that also really Mr. Deleba had taken his surveyor and his lawyer on a piece of land that he bought in Ajia sub-county recently, and this is exactly what took his life. But exactly what causes this? How can we also avoid such occurrences in future? Because this is the very first time we are seeing such an incident happening over land. It means land today is contributing a lot of also disadvantages. It's also doing a lot of havoc. That means we must therefore reunite and also make sure that such issues do not happen. But if I can briefly inform you about what happened, really that is quite regrettable, and that is exactly what we did see happening in a road district. However, community members opposed the survey. Really, why would you do such a thing? Because if you are told you sold the land, also that is where we did see that they were claiming that part of the land belonged to them. So what was that the best way maybe to address some of these issues? Definitely I would say no. And we had right channels to also make sure some of these issues are also addressed. And that is where we expected this matter to be brought before court, and also this is also where we didn't expect this man also to move on there. But really it is quite sad and also really quite absurd, because these people were entirely after his life, not his money. Because after really also the police, after information we got from police, the information also indicates that this man was actually killed and money worth millions was got in his pocket, but these people did not take anything. That means their mission was only him, not his money. And while confirming the incident to Daily Monitor, that is where we did see the road district RDC, that is Mr. Swipe Toko, also said the incident happened on Saturday when he took a surveyor to survey a piece of land he purchased, but the community were against the move from what we also did get in there. Now the community members mobilized and attacked the DHO and was killed. Now the surveyor was critically injured by the mob, and land disputes in the Ajia sub-county have persisted for over the years. And if you look at the Ajia sub-county, this is actually one of those areas, I would say that this in the district is actually supplying Western Nile sub-region with the food. And this area is actually one of those areas known as the food basket for this region. And that is why over the years, we have always had issues when it comes to ownership of that land. But that is exactly what we also must join hands and also talk about. Because if at all we don't talk about this, then definitely that is where we're going to be having issues. Today, many of the poor bought land in there. It is actually one of those areas that is known as farmland. Many of these big people from other districts have actually bought land in a rural district. That's according to information we are receiving on ground. And today, many of them are into farming there, and that is where we did see Mr. Toko adding that the body of Mr. Deleba had not been retrieved from the bush, but we were able to see also the body being removed from there and taken. That is to Arua Regional Referral for post-mortem, because after this for killing, They dumped the body in there, meaning they were not after anything, they were after him. And that is where we must also really see an end to this. And now the West Nile Police Applications Officer, that's Mr. Collins Asia, remarked that it is so hard and also so sad that we have received the news about the demise of the DHO who was murdered, and this is where it was also in connection to land-related issues. May I feel it also goes back to the kind of our land ownership systems. I feel there's something that we need to do when it comes to how we also own our land. That is entirely where we also need to turn our focus to, because if we don't also turn our focus in there, and then many of the times we are going to be seeing this also happening. But I can inform you, social media has already been awash by messages of condolences. That is in relation to the mother of also the DHO who was promoted earlier this year upon also serving for several years as the district health inspector, and that is where we did see that happening. Remember, his death also really follows the death of his son, who actually also died a few days ago, and that is exactly what we did see. But we hope at the right time, this also the killers will be brought to book, and that is where we expect these killers to be brought to book, and that is also where we expect police to come out with also investigations in relation to who the murderers are and where they have gone, and they must definitely be brought to book. That is exactly where we are going to be seeing that happening. Quite sad, and we are still mourning with the people of Arua district, and we hope at the right time the murderers will be brought to book. And leaving that discussion aside, Uganda Law Society Council suspends Semakade is another story we're seeing this morning, and where we did see the Uganda Law Society also already suspended its President Isaac Semakade following series of allegations of misconduct and also really mismanagement. Another decision was made after a majority of council members appealed to Mr. Semakade to apologize for his actions, but their appeals were in vain, and that is exactly what we did see upon this man who was arrested, who was recently elected to also really lead the Uganda Law Society. But what we did see happening of recent was also really a remark that he made, which did not go on well with some people. Recently, I was able to see members of parliament from Karamoja sub-region where he made remarks attacking one of the persons from there, and this is the person known as Francis Abodo, who is also the director of public prosecutions, and the remarks made by Semakade haven't gone well with the section of the people in this country. And recently I was able to see leaders from Karamoja sub-region asking for this man to apologize or resign, and that is exactly what we did see. But now the majority of the votes from the Uganda Law Society Council also resolved to have this man suspended. Now the resolution passed by the majority of the council aims to restore public trust and confidence in the Uganda Law Society and safeguard its reputation. And the resolution signed by Uganda Law Society, that was by Secretary Philip Munabi, according to information we received from there. And as part of the resolution, Mr. Semakade has been expelled from the Uganda Law Society, along with his deputy, that is Anthony Asimwe, who have also been expelled from there. Now the expulsion follows allegations the two leaders also really conspired to handle financial matters, including online bank approvals, without council knowledge or approval. And Mr. Simwe's actions were reported done illegally, as he is mandated as signatory for Uganda Law Society finances. Now the two are also accused of creating a management crisis, and the Uganda Law Society publicly also, particularly by also spreading unfounded allegations of witch hunt also against Uganda Law Society staff, and that is exactly what we did see happening. Now the two are also accused of creating mismanagement, and their actions have also really been reportedly caused tension, said to have caused tension and instability within the organization. Now to address the current crisis, an internal caretaker committee has been constituted, which will also lead which will be led by Mr. Mnabi, and the committee's also really primary responsibility is to steer the society through the turbulent period. And that is exactly what we did see. Now, all expelled individuals, including their aides and agents, have been barred from accessing Uganda Law Society premises, emails and property, and any attempts to do so will result in criminal charges. And Mr. Semakade has also stoked fury among the legal fraternity with his abrasive management also style, although he was voted for the executive for some reason, and the Uganda Law Society appears to have fallen out too soon that it cannot bear with reality of the scene. And Mr. Semakade has, through also an executive order, kicked the Attorney General and Solicitor General from the Uganda State Council, leading to legal battles. And at least last week, he was also stoked anger of many when he spoke about the Director of Public Prosecution, that is Jennifer Sabodo, using language which has been termed as vulgar and very bad. And that is exactly what we did see. And now several entities, including the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity, have also asked Mr. Samakade to apologize while the DPP threatened to sue him. And we did see also on the same note that members of parliament from Karamol sub-region also joined on the same to ask him to resign and apologize for the person of also who gets from that region upon also the remark that he made to many also which they have termed as bad language. And that is exactly what we are keenly following up on, because if you remember how we called the lady, then definitely that is where we shall be seeing also our discussion centered. But you can also share your thoughts and opinions in relation to what we are discussing this morning. And the internal turmoil at the Uganda Law Society has cast a shadow over its role as the guardian, that is, of the legal profession in Uganda, raising questions about its ability to effectively represent its members and uphold the rule of law in this country. And that is exactly what we are seeing happening in there. But we hope at the right time answers will be also given. That is also where we want to see how this, of course, will be ending. And that is also where we shall be centering our discussions in the coming days. I believe something will be also unfolding from there. This is still a developing story, of course. And at the right time, I will be coming back to also make sure that I let you know of what is happening also in relation to this matter in India. Now, leaving that aside, remember recently we did see Colonel retired Kiza Besje being arrested and paraded in Ugandan courts of that's the military, but he was arrested and abducted from, that is Kenya. And today, many people have also raised concern about how this could have happened and why Kenya would allow such an incident happen in her territory. And of course, many people have now come out to condemn also Kenya and also Kenyan government. But of course, this also not left many people with questions, and that is where we did see Kenyan authorities attempting to access Besje's hotel room amid abduction controversy, and that is exactly what we did see happening in there. Many people have also questioned the international laws, which Kenya did not also respect in there, because that was entirely her territory. Many people have asked questions. If yes, that you indeed arrested this man with a gun, where did you arrest the person with the pistol? And how did this person move out of the country? Because this is a big person. I mean, this is somebody who is known. How could such a person move with the gun from country to country? Because he was arrested from Kenya, but he was from Uganda, and Ugandan authorities checked. And when he entered Kenya, I believe the Kenyan authorities also as well checked. The hotel could have as well checked. So how then did he enter with a gun is the question many people have also been able to ask, and without answers. And that is exactly what we are keenly following up on. As per now, he has been remanded. But we are following up and want to see how, of course, this will be ending, and want to see how the authorities also will be able to come out and also explain how the man was able to also enter with the gun. But of course, that also sparked the debate that's on various social media forums, with many people also asking how this could have happened, and many also are doubting the credibility or authenticity of this allegation. And that is what exactly we are seeing happening within our society. But Kenyan authorities reportedly attempted to also gain access to Nairobi hotel room occupied by Ugandan opposition, that is Dr. Kiza Besje and his associate, that is Haj Obed Lutale, Kamlege, sparking also concerns over the duo's controversial abduction. Now abduction to also, according to Lord Mayor, that is Elias Lukwago, who serves as the legal representative for both men, also that's the hotel management at Warid Hotel, and Paradise Suits stood firm in protecting the belongings left by the 10 individuals, and Lukwago, equipped with powers of attorney, also attorney from his clients, successfully retrieved the documents and personal effects, that is also during also the swift also arrest of also that is the leader which happened in Nairobi this week or last week in there. Now, reliable sources also revealed that Lukwago's intervention may have thwarted a possible move by Kenyan also security forces to seize the property. And remember, he was able to also bring the goods, most especially the bags and also everything that belonged, that is also related to the retired colonel in there. And that is exactly what we did see happening. But of course, at the right time, we shall be letting you know, as this is yet another developing story, which of course we shall be coming back to sort of let you know of what could have happened and where this could have happened. And at the right time, definitely we shall be letting you know how this matter progresses, because at the moment it's still a developing story where we do not have much answers to. But of course, it is something which we are keenly following up on. Remember, so many people have also come out to demand for the release of the retired army man, and also one person who joined the list was the new principal, that is Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, who also visited That is also really, that is the retired colonel in the prisons in there, that is in Luzira, and he was able to solely come out to speak to the media last week about the same issue, where he also really compared and said this was the same trick that was already that happened to him in 2018, where he was in a rural area, and that is exactly what we are seeing happening in there. And that is where we shall be letting you know of more of that discussion in relation to what continues to happen in there. And we hope at the right time, that is only where we shall be having answers to, of course, what continues to make ground in the country. And that is where we are going to be leaving that discussion aside, and we shall be letting you know of more of that in the second hour of the show. My name is Farish Majid. In case you're just joining us right now, welcome aboard, and this is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile Television, channel 477. That is on the Star Times, where you could be watching us from. On Zuku, we're on channel 073, in case you're watching us there as well. We say thank you so much. Meanwhile, we are on channel 369, that is Anwazam, where also, in case you're watching us from, we say thank you so much and congratulations for always being part of the discussions, where we come to you each and every Mondays to Fridays, and that is where you will have a lot of things also going to happen in the country, and we shall be letting you know of more of that discussion later on. As we get to move on, remember we are also counting a few minutes to wind up with the discussions for today, but in these remaining minutes I will be giving you a lot of information, and that's where you should be part of the discussions each and every Mondays, that is to Fridays, right from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and today happens to be the 25th into the month of, that is November. We are counting down 5 days to the last month of the year, that is December, but the question is, how is this year coming to an end on your side? Is it moving on as quite impressive note? Are you happy about the year coming to an end? And what exactly is also really on your side that you wouldn't also really want to miss out also really, that before the year ends, you achieve? That is where we shall be seeing also really, that also really very, very much importantly in there. Now, leaving that discussion aside, 2.2 million customers have upgraded their meters, says Minister, that is also the Minister for Energy, Ruth Nankabora, who has also provided an update that is on the progress of the meter upgrade 10 months after also they mentioned also the incoming also mandatory software upgrade of the electricity payments meter. And remember, in some areas many people have been living in fear, and also really that their meters were also going to be expiring, and that is where we also see the campaign moving on, most especially in the central part of this country. But the period is also said to come to an end, where we did see also that Ms. Nankabira's January 5th notification followed a global announcement by the Global Standard Transfer Specification Association that all STS prepayments meters will be affected by the token identifier rollover. That's on November 24th, and therefore they will stop accepting new tokens on the date unless upgraded. Now they issue systems from the expiry of the current TID, which has been also in use since 1993. Subsequently, any meters that are not upgraded will reject tokens generated after the deadline, and therefore users also will not get electricity. That is according to information we did get from there. But many people have also been living in fear when it comes to issues of electricity, and really that is where we must also appreciate the government, most especially the Ministry of Energy, for also making sure that at least today we see some stability in power supply. And Ms. Nankabira says since then, the electricity distribution companies have embarked on upgrading electricity meters using what we call key change tokens on every meter to extend their life up to 2045. Now, according to her, about 112,000 Umeme customers and 170,102 UEDCL customers have already completed the upgrade, and that is where we also want to urge them to make sure that they take advantage of the period that is remaining for them to also make sure that this is done within time. Now, Ms. Nankabira linked upgrade to non-compliance unique, that is to unique categories, including unoccupied rental properties, unoccupied homes, and homeowners currently abroad or in other terms, and consumers also bypassing meters to steal power, and other circumstances such as deceased property owners, properties and other sale, and legal disputes. And that is where we did see also really questions being able to ask, and somebody could be asking him or herself, but how do I do this? Now, in addressing some particular or potential frequent asked questions, Nankabira says also for customers using the inhemeter star Wison XJ prepayments meters, they have to press that is 873 and enter, and 01 means also an upgrade, not upgraded, and 02 means upgraded, while those using conlog should press hash 005 hash, that is with RTS, meaning not upgraded. That is also where we did see her asking those also with those meters to do so. Now she further advised Exin, Itron, and chain prepayments users to press that is 873 and upgrade enter. With also that's where we did see them also being able to ask in relation to how they can be able to slowly upgrade their meter. That means you can do it at the comfort of your home. All you need to do is make sure that you also really do what is expected out of you, and that is exactly what we did see happening. But of course, we shall be coming back with also that discussion in the coming days to make sure that you understand and you do not also leave anything out in there. Remember, it being a Monday, welcome aboard. I want to welcome you because it being a Monday, you could have also had a busy weekend in Arua City. I must say that we had a busy weekend, and that is where also in some parts of the country, you must have also as well had a busy weekend in there. But all in all, we are saying it's already a new week, a new start. We must therefore also make sure that we move out and start go hustling, because in Arua City we are witnessing some rains. I want to inform you that in case you are planning to move into the city, definitely a thing that you must not forget is a sweater or an umbrella perhaps, or both. And that is where you must make it a must pack and move with also really some of those issues to make sure that you do not miss out on anything. And that is where we shall be also really seeing that also really happening, and that is where we want to see that happening. But at that time, I will be also really letting you know of what's happening in there. Now, leaving that discussion all aside, moving on, looking at the monitor here, we are seeing where the youth have been challenged to join anti-poverty war. Is another story where we did see Miss Barbara Oundo Nakesa, the former Minister for State for Karamoja Affairs, has urged the youth and the young people to avoid wasting youthful energy on unproductive ventures and lead to poverty and begging. That's where we did see also really that is also speaking at the launch of the Youth Empowerment Circle. That's in the Mayingo district. That was on Saturday. Nakasa did emphasize the importance of hard work and self-reliance, and that is where we did see also really her asking the young people to join some of those productive activities. And now Mr. Nakasa, who is also the National Treasurer, that is for the National Movement Party, commended the youth also for organizing that is themselves to start an innovation that will help them also pool resources and access a seed capital to start businesses, and that is exactly what we did see also joining the campaign on. Now, according to the youth chairperson, that's Oliver Namambua, the district is facing a surge in crime due to unemployment, and this is exactly what we are seeing happening all over. Today, the issues of unemployment have remained a huge task, which also as leaders and as everyone, we must join hands to sort of talk about. Because if you look at the issues of that is also the unemployment, then you realize also today many of the people also are living in fear as a result of that. Many young people out there jobless, despite all these government programs, which also sometimes they say they have not benefited from. So I think it goes back to government. We must talk about skilling. Skilling is the way to go, because not each and everyone is going to be employed formally. Sometimes we also have to embrace the informal work. That is where we would also at the end of the day get monies to change our lives, and that is why we expect the government to come up with some of these skilling initiatives. I love what they are doing today. We have a number of skilling hubs, but this is not enough, because the numbers enrolling for these courses is not always enough. And that also goes back to that after getting the skills, where do they go next? This is where we expect the follow-up by government to make sure that also these young people get the skills, have a chance to practice what they have learned. And that is where at the end of the day we would also want to see the rate of crime in this country reducing, because an idle mind is always what is said to be a devil's workshop. That means if I'm idle within the society, I keep on moving here and there without doing anything, then trust me, I would also be able to also join bad groups. And that is where I would be also joining drugs. First of all, like chewing mairungi, which is the commonest in Arua, smoking opium, alcohol drinking, and that is where at the end of the day that is going to be ruining my life, which also will be very, very much bad in there. That's where we expect people to join hands. And just like the youths in the Mayingo, I also want to implore the youths in the rest of the country to also organize themselves in circles, and that's also where we expect them now to get the support from government also to benefit also under such initiative. Today we have a number of groups that are being formed, but most badly also what we are seeing is that these forming these political groups with the aim of getting money, and that's where we are saying that is really not unacceptable, because if at all you are forming these groups for the purpose of money and also targeting politicians, then that's going to be wrong, because they will also want to mention names, but I cannot mention. But of course we are seeing that, we are realizing that also some of these groups are formed in relation to also really targeting money from politicians, which is really something wrong and we must condemn. And that means we must also be able to join hands and support government in some of those initiatives to also benefit from also some of these government programs. We have the Paris Development Model. A percentage has been channeled for the youth. We had the youth livelihood program that was entirely for the youth. The Intandikwa, which the youth did not benefit from very muchly, and many of these programs that are coming up. So I think the government also really must be able to sort of target the youth in some of these campaigns. Let's give the youth capital, and also looking at them as hooligans. That is not enough. We must therefore make sure that instead of looking at youths as hooligans, we can be able to change them, most especially those who are very bad. We can change them. We can make sure they also return to be very good citizens. And that's where, at the end of the day, from being criminals, we want to see them also really as people who are into the money economy, because the money they will make, government will also have a portion in terms of taxes, and that is where we would also want to see the government developing. And that is one initiative which I want to also employ the government on, but we hope at the right time also the youth of this country will get transformed. And that's where we come to the end of this half of the hour. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show with the Farish Majid. In case you are just joining us right now, please not also move away, as we are yet running for this short commercial break that will be ushering us into the final half of the discussions. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Look out for StarTimes Solar to unwrap your lighting and entertainment experience this Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
At only 700 shillings daily charge, get yourself a StarTimes S50 that comes with lighting, phone charging, strong lithium battery, radio with a flash port and a Bluetooth speaker. For more entertainment needs, get yourself a StarTimes S130 that comes with an extra 32-inch TV screen and 2 years free StarTimes subscription. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back into the final half of the show this morning. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV, channel 477, that's on StarTimes, on 0073, that's on Zuku, and on 369, that is on Azam. And we are still moving on. For those of you who are watching us via online, we are very much appreciative, and we say thank you so much. And you are most welcome into the final half of the show this morning. Remember, so many things happened over the weekend, both good and bad. And for those who had the good things, we say congratulations, most especially those who had weddings. And I was able to see a number of pictures, and I was able to see also a number of vehicles moving on, that is within the city, indicating that they were weddings. Meanwhile, for those who had party time, I do understand many people also had a lot of activities and happenings also taking place. And that means others could have had a good time. Meanwhile, for those who had really bad instances, just like the family of the late Labour Paul Bishop, who was murdered, really we say, may the God give you strength and courage also during these trial moments in there, because it is a difficult moment. And meanwhile, we also had a bad scenario happening, that is in the rural city, where a vehicle was able to knock several upon the road. And these people are currently said to be at the Royal Fire Hospital as casualties also in there, but that is quite sad. It means we must also make sure that we do not drive under any circumstance which is not deemed fit for us to be on the road, because right now we do not know what could have caused this accident, but we are going to be following up on, and we shall be checking on police to also give us the information in relation to what could have also caused all this accident. But according to information we received, the reporters were complaining in the streets yesterday that one person in one of the vehicles was able to knock a number of them on the roads. Really, sometimes I don't know what happens to people. But as we are getting closer to this period, this is where we expect people to also make sure that they do not also engage in those bad activities. For instance, also driving under the influence of alcohol or driving with stress. If you feel you are not fit to be on the road, give somebody to drive. Allow somebody to drive you. And other than also knocking people like that, then when at the end of the day, you are going to be also having issues. First of all, in terms of compensating all these people, and then treating yourself, repairing the vehicles, all that is really something which I want to say is burdensome onto you, the owners of these vehicles. And the onus is still on you to also take the advice or leave it. But as we are getting closer to the period, really it is one thing also which I want to say people must be able to also embark on. One, we must not drive under influence of anything, because I do not want to say maybe he was under influence of something bad. That is what exactly I'm saying. Not only to each and everyone who is also a driver, but to everyone who is out there operating any machine. It could not be a vehicle necessarily, but it could be a motorcycle, because we have often seen also the same issues happening. That means we must also make sure we do not drive the machines under any influence. And that is where at the end of the day we want to see people moving on very well. And that is where we're going to leave our discussion aside. And as we move on, so many issues, you realize so many things happened over the weekend, and that is where I would also want to tell you, I also want to remind you about certain of these activities that could have happened, and that's where we shall be also very much safe as we get to move on. That is also towards the festive season, because we are just counting down 5 days into the last month of the year, that is December. And if you look at November, this month also to many could have run so fast. Very soon we shall be having the learners back home. And that is where we must also make sure that we talk to them also as parents, as children themselves. Also, we must remind them that certain things are very much bad, and they must be safe also within the period. And that is where at the end of the day, we are going to be seeing our society very, very much safe in there. Moving on and looking at some of the stories happening elsewhere, you read a lot also happened. Still also in very many activities, both good and bad, but all in all, we are still following up on, and that's where we shall be seeing also many of the discussions happening. And that is one thing also which we want to see happening, and we hope at the right time also really we shall be seeing also that happening. Mr. Museveni accused of politicizing prerogative also of mercy is another story we're seeing, and this is one thing which we are seeing after a day after President Museveni pardoned 19 also convicted National Unity Platform supporters. Remember, these were also given bond, and also we were released after we did see the president also giving them also what we call the prerogative of mercy, and that is exactly what we did see. Now, a day after President Museveni also pardoned the 19 convicted NUP supporters, lawyers have criticized the move, accusing the president of misusing the constitutional powers to suppress political dissent, and the 19 individuals also have been convicted by the General Court Martial on charges of treachery and illegal possession of ammunition. And remember, these people were arrested a few months ago. Others also could have spent almost 2 years in jail, but now we did see them also being pardoned by the president, but something which did not go on well with the section of the lawyers, who have also termed this to be very bad. Now they also accused him of misusing his powers under the prerogative of mercy in there. Now that's what we did see, where lawyers in the names also already led by that George Musisi, representing the group, also expressed relief over the release of the party members, but decried conditions under which the convictions were obtained. Now, similarly, Aaron Kiza, another prominent also lawyer, accused the government of politicizing the presidential prerogative of mercy, which is intended to also really promote justice and reconciliation, not to manipulate, that is, the political opponents. Now, while the 19 pardoned supporters have been freed, 9 others have also refused to plead guilty and have remained in detention. And among them is Yasin Toleko, also known as Machete, a butcher that is also from Kawempe, and Patrick Marseille, a cinema hall attendant that's from Boyogere. And these individuals, aged 28 and 24 respectively, are accused of treachery and possessing of illegal ammunition. Now the government claims to have gathered sufficient evidence against the 9 and has also announced plans to proceed with their trial. Now, State Minister for Youth Balam Baruhagara denied also allegations that the suspects had also coerced into accepting their charges, describing the claims as unfounded, and that is exactly what we did see happening in there. Now, the lawyers insist that the release of the 19 Snoop supporters should not overshadow concerns about the justice system's fairness, and that is exactly what we did see, and I was able to see one of those persons reuniting with the family. Very quite interesting, because after spending almost 2 years in jail, amid also being subject to some conditions which at one time were very much bad, because at one time these people were also really able to also really come up with also really issues of where they were tortured, and this is exactly what we did see happening. And I was able to see them also really pleading to the president to allow them also to come out, and that is exactly something which we did see happening a few days ago. And as a trial for the remaining NUP supporters, looms opposition leaders and human rights advocates are calling for transparency and fairness in the judicial systems, also while also demanding accountability for alleged abuses during the arrest and conviction. And I was able to tell you about issues of torture, where they also came out to also narrate their ordeals of being subject to under terrible conditions. And the situation remained a contentious issue, with critics also warning against the politicization of the judicial system and the constitutional powers entrusted to the president. And that is exactly what we are keenly following up on, and want to see how this, of course, will be ending. And at the right time, we shall be able to sort of let you know of any discussions in relation to that in there. And now moving on to Gulu City, a soldier has been sentenced to 52 years over loss of gun and ammunition, and that is exactly what we did see, where the 4th division, that is of the court martial in Gulu, has sentenced, that is Owen Okumu, who is a private soldier, aged 27 years old, 52 years in prison after he was convicted, that's of losing an SMG rifle and 120 rounds of ammunition. And Kumu was found guilty of failing to protect war materials, a violation that's of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act, Chapter 330, and that is exactly what we did see, where prosecutor, that is Captain Augustine Tumebaze, told the court that on December 30th of 2003, Okumu left his patrol duty armed with an SMG rifle, serial number that is 56-4800707, and ammunition, but never also returned with that. And he allegedly went into a drinking spree, that's at Boganda Pub in Gulu City, where he fell asleep. During this time, the rifle and the ammunition were stolen and remained uncovered, and that is exactly what we did see, because update, they have not also been recovered, and that's why he also is being charged under that crime. But this goes back to the soldiers, and the soldier who is watching me this morning. I want to say, it is not proper for you as a soldier to go into a bar with all this. Because at the end of the day, we have seen, first of all, sometimes you losing your tempers and heading into shooting spree where people are being killed. So I think it's not proper for soldiers to move into bars with also really their firearms. And that is where, at the end of the day, we have been able to see cases of people being killed by the soldiers. So I think it's high time that the soldiers must be barred from accessing some of those premises with also really such materials in them. Now presiding over the trial court martial chairman, that's Colonel Innocent Tukasabe, described the loss that of the weapon as severe aggravated, and the sentencing comes also amid rising armed robberies in Gulu City, with business owners, particularly mobile money operators, frequently targeted. And in a separate also case, the same court dismissed Private Douglas Asio, 29 years old, from the army with disgrace, and prosecutors revealed that Asio, station that is at the 409 Brigade headquarters in Bondo Barracks, that's Nairobi district, was granted a 2 weeks leave, that's in January 2023, but failed to return in there. Now he was declared absent without also official leave in October of that year, and Asio reported resurfaced that in June 2024, after UPDF salaries were increased, delivering the sentence. Colonel Tukasabe reminded soldiers that service in the UPDF demands discipline and sacrifice, and that is really quite absurd that a soldier in the name of a CEO who was attached to the 409 Brigade in Bondo disappeared, only to hear soldiers' salaries have been increased, and felt he needs to go back because he disappeared last year, only to return this year. And that is where we did see the UPDF sitting court also dismissing him from the force. Now the convicted soldier was marched out of the 4th Division quarter guard by hundreds of colleagues in a symbolic dismissal ceremony, and this case also underlined the UPDF's strict stance on discipline and accountability within its ranks. And that is exactly what we are keenly following up on, and want to also remind you that that is also really what, at the end of the day, we must also avoid ourselves into trouble with, because at the end of the day, if at all, as a soldier, you are dismissed in a way that also really is not very well, then at the end of the day, really, you rather solely you are moving back into communities. And starting a new life, in most cases, is not easy, but we hope you will be able to sort of cope with also really what is happening. Because if you're granted 2 weeks leave, then you go for maybe months, years, you don't come back, and then that is really quite absurd. But at the right time, also really, we shall be letting you know of what is happening in there. Leaving that discussion aside, and we hope at the right time also you will be able to also share your thoughts and opinions in relation to what we are discussing. But now looking at what's happening in international stories, Rabi went missing in UAE, was murdered, according to Israel. That's the report we are seeing. This is on the international stories. This is on the BBC, where Israel says Rabi, who went missing in the United Arab Emirates, has been murdered, and have also vowed to track down his killers. And that's exactly what we did see happening. And now 3 killers, 3 people have been arrested. That's in connection with the murder. And the UAE's Interior Ministry has confirmed that on Sunday evening. And Rabbi Kogan, an envoy of the Orthodox Jewish organization, that is Chabad Lubavitch, had been also really missing in Dubai since Thursday, sparking an investigation from Israel intelligence agency, that's Mossad, and UAE authorities. And Israel officials have also really been in contact with the family, that is of the Israel Moldovan national, since he went missing. Now the Israel also statement continued. Now the recovery of the Kogan's body comes after his abandoned car was found an hour. That is an hour's drive away from his home. And Israel, so the president, that's Isaac Herzog, who also called his mother a vil optimistic attack, and Mossad's investigators are working towards identifying those who are responsible for Rabi's death in there. And that is exactly what we did see happening. But we hope at the right time, people who are foreigners in your country, their lives also must be a priority, because at the end of the day, if at all we see such issues arising, then that's how it's going to be very much bad. And Rabbi Yehuda Krinsky, the chairman of Chabad Lubavitch, said, "We trust that the UAE will work with the countries in the region to bring the perpetrator to justice and hold all those involved accountable for the act of sheer evil." And Israel's government travel advisory services also warns that citizens not to travel to UAE for essential reasons, and that's exactly what we did see. And Abu Dhabi established formal ties with Israel under agreement brokered by the US known as the Abraham Accords. And it has maintained the relationship during the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, and that is exactly what we are seeing happening in there. But we hope at the right time we shall be seeing that happening. Meanwhile, in South Africa, South African anti-apartheid writer Bray Debent dies, and that's exactly what we are seeing in the morning here. That's on the BBC in our international stories. The renowned anti-apartheid writer and activist Bryson has jailed for his beliefs in South Africa in the 1970s, has died. That is at the age of 85, according to information we received from his families. And he passed away in his sleep. That is while also his wife Yolande was by his side in Paris. And that's according to information we are seeing now. The distant poet, novelist, and painter was an immense artist, militant against apartheid, and he fought for a better world. That's exactly also what he is remembered for. And if you die today, ask yourself, how shall you be remembered? Are you going to be remembered for any contribution to society? Is what also we must also ask ourselves. And Jacques Lang, a French former education minister, shared a heartfelt tribute that is on X, and that is exactly what we did see. And born in the Western Cape, that's on 16th of September 1939. To also the family of 5, he lived also much of his life abroad, but always remained true to his also South African roots, and that's exactly what we did see also happening. And now he attended the University of Cape Town and joined a group of African poets and writers called also the Sistigas, who wanted to also highlight the beauty of the language also while critiquing the racist apartheid regime. And Africans evolved among white settlers, and comes from the Dutch also the word of African. With African in powers during the apartheid, we did see the language became even more associated with the oppressive regime, and that is what he is going to be remembered for. And exactly what are you going to be remembered for? And maybe as the viewer, if you ask yourself this morning, how shall you be remembered? Are you going to be remembered for any positive contribution, or you are going to be remembered as somebody who could have also really contributed to the violations of people's rights? And that would also not be very, very much well in there. That brings us to the end of the international stories. And if briefly we can't be able to look at what's happening in the world of sports, definitely you realize a lot of things happened in the regional leagues. We were able to see our teams thriving. But of course, the results of the regional leagues will be coming through on the wish time. Basically, if I can maybe be able to give you what happened in the 4 big league, you realize already it wasn't a good weekend for most of the West Nile sides. In the Northern Derby, we were able to see Arua Hill beating Paida Black Angels 2-1. That means Paida has registered the first win. That was in Gulu. Meanwhile, Black's Power also already managed to beat Miniko Calvary by 2-1. That was already in a game that was played in Lira. That was also in the Northern Derby. And I really want to say, meanwhile, the West Nile sides never also won in there. Meanwhile, we were able to also see a game between Busoga and Buhimba that ended also in a draw. Gaddafi and Maida also was another game that also where we did see Gaddafi beating Maida by 2-1. Kataka was able to also pick a 1-0 win. That is over Chinda Boys. Meanwhile, Paida Black Angels also will be returning in action. That's only very soon in there. That means we are keenly following up and want to see how, of course, this, of course, will be moving on. And that means for those of you who are following the 4 big league, then definitely you must know it is actually getting interesting and interestingly well in there. And the games will be returning. That is tomorrow, where we shall be seeing a game that is between Karo Karunja and Tigezi Homeboys. That was also in Western Derby. We shall be seeing also the games returning. That's on the 29th of this month, and also the other days in there. That's how we did see the 4 big league also thriving. And we hope also you who loves the games, and then definitely you must have also had the very best of your weekends in there. And that is where we did also see the Southern Uganda Premier League also continuing. But somebody also really must be also really asking themselves, how did the games go on? I really want to assure you that the games also really are moving competitively well in there. And that's where over the weekend we were able to see also really a game between Mbarara City and Mbali Heroes, which ended 1-0 in favor of that Mbarara City. Wakiso Giants also really was able to lose by 6-1. That's in the hands of AC Villa. Meanwhile, Sports Club Vipers was able to beat also really URA by 2-0 in there. This is some of the game that we did see happening recently. And somebody may be asking, how is the English, maybe Southern Uganda Premier League thriving? I really want to show you we shall be seeing this game returning back on the 27th, where UPDF will be up in action against Police. Wakiso Giants will be returning in action, that is against URA Sports Club. That is how the games, of course, will be moving on. That's in the world of Southern Uganda Premier League. And that is also where we come to the end with. But before we move on, if I can maybe briefly give you some of the results that could have happened. That is in the English Premier League. Then you realize a lot of games were actually played, but the biggest game was, of course, the loss that was taken by Manchester City, which many people never believed could have happened. But this is the Premier League; it can happen. Maybe if I can briefly also give you some of the results that we did see happening over the weekend. On Saturday, we were able to see a game between Leicester City and Chelsea. Chelsea was able to win this game by 2-1. Arsenal had also the game where they were able to beat Nottingham Forest by 3-0. Aston Villa and Crystal Palace played to a 2-goal draw. And we were able to see Bournemouth also being beaten by Brighton by 2-1. Everton had a 0-0 also goalless draw with Brentford. Fulham was able to lose, that is in the hands of Wolverhampton Wanderers, by 4-1. Manchester City lost, that is Tottenham Hotspur, by 4-0, and that is how the games on Saturday did go on. Meanwhile, on Sunday, we were able to Southampton losing by 3-2, that is to Liverpool Football Club, and we were able to see Manchester United and Ipswich playing to a 1-all goal draw, and that is how we did see the game already moving on. And tonight we shall be seeing one game that's in the English Premier League, that will be between Newcastle United and West Ham United, another game which I want to say is going to be quite interesting for those most especially who love the league. And that is where we are coming to the end of the discussions, but more of that will be coming through on the Whistle Time with Owen Ezaga and Linda Suzy, who will be here from 2 to 3 p.m. And up next is the news bulletin. Liberty with Fete Manuel, and we shall be having other programs follow as planned in them. Out until tomorrow, have a good day and a good weekend, and a good week, as well. And we shall be bouncing back tomorrow at the same time on the same show. Goodbye.